Did you know if you had invested in one of the 100 great places to work for, your portfolio would have seen triple the benefits of just any other workplace? Every year, Fortune releases the top 100 places to work, and the list that they generate shows that these companies consistently outperform other companies on the stock market, on average by a factor of 3.68. In 2024, the top 100 had returns of 41.6%, which outperforms the Russell 1000 by 15.6%. And why this happens shows the importance of culture. I'm Dr. Anna Kalschmidt. I'm an industrial organizational psychologist, and I research the unwritten rules of work for people from working class backgrounds, as well as race, gender, and neurodivergent identities. And I found this fascinating considering Netflix just announced that it's cutting back on a lot of employee benefits due to pressure from Wall Street. They're moving away from their famous culture of freedom and trust to try to bag more profits. In doing so, they're getting rid of their generous parental leave, which y'all know in the US we still don't have paid parental leave rights. They're also getting rid of being transparent about a lot of corporate documents, which they used to share far and wide within the company. They're not being transparent about terminations anymore. They're starting to limit salaries, which still seems within reason. It seems to be between average and up to 95%, which I think is reasonable. But the irony of them doing this because of Wall Street demands is that culture-first companies outperform the markets consistently, and especially in times when it gets lean, when times get hard. That's how you have customer loyalty and not just repeat customers. There's a difference. A lot of this ties to one of the unwritten rules of work from my research, which I call compliance, which is when you suppress ideas and people speaking up. And it's what I see it as the opposite of psychological safety. I just finished writing my book chapter on this unwritten rule last week. You can go to my website, drkalschmidt.com, to get on the waiting list. And when I was writing this chapter, I had so many examples that I had to narrow down which one I was going to pick. And I still picked a few to talk about in my book because there are so many companies throughout, especially the last 50 years, who have made this mistake and tanked themselves. And as you'll see in the book, sometimes worse. The top 100 companies have three things in common year after year. One, they have high employee retention. Two, employees have psychological and emotional health, aka psychological safety is a big part of that. And three, the employees are willing to go above and beyond. And guess what? They have to like you to do that. The employee engagement has to be high. Netflix is saying the reason for this is because they had really low stocks in 2022 and lost 1 million subscribers. But what's interesting to me is that the way they're choosing to attack this is counter what we actually see being beneficial long-term on Wall Street. It also begs the question of why were your stocks low in 2022? And it seems that was largely due to that they increased the subscription costs. And then we know shortly after that in 2023, they started cracking down on password sharing. Even if you weren't sharing your password, which yes, a lot of people were, it's now a pain in the ass to use Netflix if you travel because you have to prove you're traveling. So seeing a problem and then not identifying what caused the problem is a big problem that companies have. And there's a class difference here as well. And I talk about this in my book. Upper class people do more linear thinking. Working class people do more holistic thinking. If you want more on that, sign up for my book waiting list. Based on my experience and research in this area, I predict that the quality of Netflix's show and usage is about to get worse. It may take some time, maybe a year or so, but let me know what you think. Has this happened to your workplace? If so, let me know what happened.